Here are my best tips for doing the Camino de Santiago as somebody who has just recently completed it for the first time. Number 1, you can do it. So I doubted my ability to be able to do it. I have a chronic illness and I just thought maybe I wasn't going to be up to it. It's going to be too much walking, too tiring, too out of the comfort zone. I wasn't going to be able to look after my body in all the ways it needs. I just didn't think I could do it, but I did do it and I'm really surprised. But not only me, there was all sorts of different shapes and sizes and ages doing it. And I think everyone who does it sort of must surprise themselves at like how their body is able to cope with it and actually thrive on it. So it's really amazing in that sense. But yeah, if you need encouragement, this is your encouragement. I honestly was in tears a couple of nights before doing it, thinking I don't think I can do it. And I did. Number 2, carry light. I cannot emphasize this enough. Having a heavy backpack is just the worst. You need to just make sure you're just only taking the essentials. So I had read this before I went and it said that you should take 3 items of each item of clothing, like 3 socks, 3 underwear, 3 t-shirts, 3 shorts. And I took more than that and I shouldn't have. It wasn't cold by any means. There was one day where it rained, so I had a little light rain jacket, but I didn't need like my hoodie. I didn't need 2 pairs of trousers, and I didn't need the sleeping bag I brought. It was very light, thin sleeping bag, but I didn't actually need it. So yeah, you want to just be making sure that you're not carrying any more than 10% of your body weight, and you get a proper bag as well. There are some bags that have lumbar support, which is really good, but what I found the most benefit from was actually the chest support, like a buckle around your chest that really just helped to distribute the weight for me, and it just stopped my shoulders from hurting. So that was a game changer. But yeah, we carried too heavy that we actually had to send one of our bags, like put all of our stuff in one bag and send it to the end because we just couldn't carry it anymore. So it's much more enjoyable if you're not carrying like 10 bricks on your back. Number 3, take quick drying clothes. So I had some cycling shorts that were really easily dried, and that makes a massive difference because you have to sometimes clean your clothes overnight and let them dry, and then the next day you could be carrying wet clothes, and that's not ideal. So if you take something that's quick to dry, then you're going to be laughing basically. And there's often laundry rooms in the hostels or the accommodation, so you should be sorted really. Some have dryers, so you should be fine anyway, but if you're just going to wash your clothes by yourself, if you didn't have a laundry in your accommodation, then you want to be able to it to dry quickly. And number 4, based on what I've just said about the accommodation, I would say it's best to book your accommodation the night before. At first we were trying to get into the public albergues, and they are first come, first served, but we found that people were very competitive and they were setting off crack of dawn to get to these albergues to get in. They're a lot cheaper than the other accommodations. That's why people want to go to them, and they're good value because you get a kitchen in there so you can cook your food, so then you're saving on food costs as well. But yeah, we managed to get into one, but that was it. But yeah, trying to get into them actually cost us more than if we just booked ahead, because we were wanting to get into them, and then we got turned back by a few, and then we had to just book something last minute, which ended up being a bit more expensive than what we really were budgeting. So we started to just book ahead of schedule, and then that worked out a lot better. And number 5, with that, if you're booking ahead your accommodation, then obviously you also need to plan your route as well. We didn't do that initially because we didn't know how much we were going to be able to walk each day, and we wanted to sort of have a bit of a gauge of that. And I think the longest we walked was 32 kilometres, but that was a bit of a killer, so we didn't like to do any more than that. We did a few 28-kilometre days, but majority was sort of 24-ish, and then we had a few sort of shorter days where we just did 14. So sometimes we wanted a bit of a break after we'd had a heavy day, so we just, booked a place that was a little bit closer. So we just allowed ourselves some sort of rest days and some harder days, and then just broke it up like that. Number 6, there are multiple routes that you can do. So we did the Camino de Santiago Portuguese. So we started in Porto and ended at Compostela, Santiago. And we wanted to do the coastal route. So we wanted to be on the beach and have the breeze and all that scenery. But actually the Litoral route was more coastal. So we did a bit of coastal and a bit of Litoral. And we tried to avoid the central route. One day we accidentally went on the central route, and boy was that a killer. This was when we had all the bags, so it was really hot, but the bags were really heavy, and the central route is really hilly. And that one's the most popular route, which I'm just so surprised about because it's the most hilly, the most tiring. But a lot of people who do it have sticks that help them walk up the hills, and also it has all the churches and a much more signage for the route, and there's a lot more catering for the Camino, so there's people giving stamps out and there's food available. It's all sort of geared up for people walking the Camino, and there's water fountains too, and there's possibly more toilets on the central route. So maybe that is why it's the most attractive, but the big con is the hills. And if you're like me, you don't like hills, so you want to be on the flat and just enjoy the scenery. But yeah, not many people are like me, apparently. So anyway, we did that and we found that was really good. But once you got to Redondela in Spain, you had to then do the central route, so then you were reunited with everybody else, and there was a lot of people walking, so I had to just embrace the hills at that point. Number 7, so as I say, there are signs that help you know which way to go, so they're just basically yellow arrows. And for the first few days I was getting my sat nav out on my phone, like, Google Maps, looking at where we were going, trying to follow the map, trying to see how long we had left. And I just want to say, do not do that. Just follow the route. So after a few days, my data ran out and I couldn't do that anymore. And I was sort of like a bit concerned about not being able to check my phone. But actually, it was so much better when I couldn't, because when I could, I was like, oh, we've only got an hour left. And then that hour would just feel so long. But when I didn't have a clue how long we had left and I was just walking, I was able to just enjoy the walk, and I actually ended up at the destination thinking, hey, gosh, I wasn't even expecting to be here now. I've got a bit more in my tank. There was just like a psychological phenomenon. I can't even say that word. A psychological phenomenon. That's it. Where if you know how long you've got left, even if it's only 23 minutes, you just find that 23 minutes lasts absolutely ages. So just follow the route. It'll really help you be more mindful, more present, enjoy the surroundings, socialise with other people. You're not just going to be looking at your phone, which is the whole thing that this is all about, really. You're supposed to be unplugging. So maybe I didn't need to say that, but for people who are a bit like me, that's I would say that was a very important one. Number 8, keep going without too many breaks. Now that was just our preference, because we noticed that if we stopped too many times, our legs would then seize up and we would be unable to then start again and would struggle for the last, leg of it. So we just thought, right, well, maybe stop for a little breakfast, which we had just packed, so it was just a light breakfast, and then we're going to pelt on until we get there to have lunch. I mean, we did sort of stop, for toilet breaks and just sort of like maybe 5 minutes to like sit and just admire a view or just sit and have a little break from the bag. But we didn't stay sat for too long. Number 9, embrace the nature toilets. So especially on the coastal route, there wasn't as many toilets, I believe. Not as many as you maybe come across on the central route, because there's more restaurants and bars on the central route. So yeah, you might need to take nature's call just somewhere that you can. I didn't actually need to do that myself. I did find a toilet when I needed one, but there were some stretches of the way where there was just nothing. So yeah, just be mentally prepared that might happen. And number 10, this was just something we thought was good, but we think it's good to run down the hills. So that some of the hills were very steep and it's quite hard to navigate with your feet. So we just let our legs go and ran down them. And it was so funny, like running past people, because people would give us strange looks like, are you running this Camino walk? Like, are you crazy? And we're like, no, it's much easier to actually just run down the hill. It gets it over quicker. It like lets your legs have a break. And we found that was good, but yeah, that's probably not for everyone. Number 11, just on that looking after your legs sort of thing, make sure you do a bit of a stretch in the evening, because you can get a bit stiff and like achy. So a bit of a stretch in the evening is really good, just to wind down from the day and just let your legs have a bit of a rest and recover. Number 12, if you're going to stay in the albergues, like the hostels, make sure that they've got a curtain on the bed. I just found that when they didn't have the curtain, you didn't have as much privacy, and then you didn't have such a good night's sleep, like you were a bit more on edge. And I just found when I had a curtain, I just slept way better, and you want to have a good sleep while you're walking every day, so I do think that's important. And number 13 on the same topic, if you're staying in the albergues, get some earplugs. The amount of snorers that I had to endure, and I wouldn't even say they were snorers, I'd have to describe them as foghorns, is something that's quite spectacular. But yeah, I wished I'd had some earplugs. I mean, I can't even put earplugs in. I don't know, something in the mechanism, I'm not able to fit them in my ears properly. But I would have figured it out really at that situation, because it was so loud and I struggled to sleep. Not everywhere was like that though. There wasn't always snorers at everyone. 14, carry some cash. So some of the towns just don't take any cards, so yeah, cash is essential. And 15, break up the journey. So not every day do you have to do 28 kilometers or do the recommended stages that they say. We just decided, actually this day we're going to not walk as far as that, we're just going to do 14 kilometers, and then we had a bit more time to just sort of explore a new city on that day. It's not about doing it fast, it's not about doing it for Strava. It's a journey, it's a spiritual journey, it's reflective, it's meditative, and it's prayerful. So it's not something that you want to rush, it's just something that you want to take your time with. And last but not least, take it all in, take the scenery in, be present. Particularly when I had my phone and I was looking at the maps and stuff, I was distracted and I wasn't enjoying it as much. I wasn't taking in the scenery, and I wasn't just, coming out of work mode and productive mode, and I really just sort of missed out by doing that. So yeah, don't do what I did and just really just take in the whole thing, and yeah, you'll love it, and you'll find yourself, you'll become a new person, and it really will be a life-changing experience. So there you have it, my top tips for walking the Camino de Santiago. Please give this a like and a share and a comment. Please let me know if you have any questions at all about the Camino de Santiago, and I'd love to hear from you soon. Thank you very much. Bye. Ciao. Bon camino.